guys, welcome to this video. This is part 2 of the video that I just did. I'm going to call this one Breaking Your Mind. So welcome back. I just talked about some of my personal experiences and things that have been happening for me in layers of awakening and understanding, talking a little bit about emotions. And so if you feel guided to watch that video, that was my previous video. I also was sharing that I was shown basically the ship that was being steered was through old dictation, the dictate or ship, right? And that is completely being refigured right now. And so this is part of the reason we feel like we're in such an upheaval. But I want to go right into a little flow and a little light language for this particular video and talk about breaking our mind, because what I was shown was breaking our mind into mindfulness. And then there's this idea that we are in hive mind versus high mind. So, and utilizing those together. Some of us have this idea that hive mind is a bad thing, but in actuality, if we're in our heart hive, the hive of our heart as a bee, right? If you think about all this, I've been shown symbol after symbol after symbol, and we're vibrating at this higher space. Bees work together. They are a hive, but they do good things for everyone. But it isn't about being mindless workers. It isn't about mindlessness, it's mindfulness. So, and it's also about not filling up the mind from one perspective. And I know the mind is different than the brain and different than thoughts, but I just picture the mind as this container or this bubble. And within it are thoughts, held within it are, memories and ideas and concepts. And that's just my own version with what I play with. And I recognize sometimes I say things and I know somebody in the scientific community might go, well, technically the mind is this, and that's fine. The way that I teach and the way that I share and the way that I play with my own style, and teaching isn't even the right word, just sharing in my experience through my own expression, and learning isn't the right word, opening to that expression and feeling into it to see how it could be applicable or useful, I think is more appropriate for what I feel that I do. And many of us do. And so what happens is there's been this concept of our minds, like left brain, analytical, logical. But what I'm being shown is that when we are filling that up from a heart frequency, it's beyond that. It's the cup that runneth over. It's mindful. And it's yoking together the brain, the body, the heart, our compassion, all of that into oneness, connecting us to the greater, grander scale. All right, so having said that, guess we're going to go into some light language. And as we try to wrap ourselves around, wrap our brain, our minds around, we find ourselves getting wrapped up in certain dimensionless exchanges, if you will, certain did I mention exchanges. As we wrap ourselves into these frequencies and subsets, many of us feel that we are getting pulled into those realities. And we ask ourselves, how did this happen? So this is part of my subject. I see we're going into this, and I'm seeing talking heads. Not the band. I am seeing the band, but like talking heads. We're talking at each other. We're getting pulled into this talking heads. And then I'm hearing, that's not my beautiful house. That's not my beautiful child. How did I get here? And the days go by and the water's flowing. I always mess up my lyrics, but you get what I'm saying. Talking Heads are one of my favorite bands. So this is a difference in variation. We're getting pulled into someone else's song. We're getting pulled into their story, and we ask, how did I get here? And so recognizing that we are there is key. Being in that space, it's the key to unlock the door or the trapping system that we got trapped in, the trap that we fell into, the trappings of the mind. For that which we have believed that is the mind is now expanding, and the mind seeks to expand itself. We are seeking to dig our way out, if you will, to go deeper. Ooh, that's fun to play with. I'm literally seeing a mine you know, like the seven dwarves and being a miner for a heart of gold. And I'm seeing that we're going within and underground. This is as above, so below, as within, so without. So whenever I share these word plays, you could picture it for your body. You could picture it for your spirit. You could picture it for Mother Earth. Got a little hair. As we dig our way out, we find ourselves digging up hard truths, if you will, hard factual information that is in actuality being realized. Okay, that's a whole other layer. Play with that later. Lost civilizations, hence lost languages, linguistics, and so on and so forth. And also, that which has been lost is now being found. We allow ourselves to find our new way. For many of us have not found ourselves in this entrapment system before. Many of us have, yet many of us did not realize we fell through a trap door. And now we are accessing more than what we have been trapped into believing that there is. For within this complex division, playing words. So I'm seeing there's a complex, like it's divided. Many of us are seeing this deep division, and it goes into so many different layers. What I'm being shown are two different things. So the one version is we're being divided, and divide and conquer I've talked about before. So it's like, I believe this and I believe that. Let's talk about for a moment, you've got red versus blue, right? That's always a fun one. Red versus blue. But within that faction, within each of those bubbles are subsets. And some of the red, and that's a bubble of belief, are also have the same beliefs as the blue. So now they're double bubbles over here. And some of the blue has the same beliefs as the red, yet they're from different political bubbles. And then within that subset, let's talk about, for example, right? Where could we go with this? We could talk about the COrVID, right? There's beliefs in one arena and beliefs in another, but some of those intermix as well. And so, but there's a lot of separation, division that's going on because of those beliefs that are not necessarily, they're in a bubble, they're in a subset. So they're not seeing the subset that they're within. So if you look up the definition for subset, it's literally there's a bubble out here, but then here's the subset. So it doesn't even know that it's part of this bigger picture. Also, and there are those that do know, but those that don't know are dividing themselves out of the equation. They're dividing themselves away from those that do know because it doesn't add up to them. Their value system, their metric system is not as broad as those that do know. And again, I'm not saying what's right or what's wrong. I'm just talking about energetically. How divisionary, play on words. I'm hearing divisionary, unadvisable to be divisible, to be undivisible, right? We want to be indivisible. My goodness. Okay, it's one of those days. All right, so basically what's happening is also this division. All right, what this has done is this has scaled down I'm hearing united locality of scale. So if you take a musical piece and you have this section of music, they're supposed to play together in order to harmonize and make sense of the song. But if they're being divided and they're not playing with their teammates in the symphony, then the symphony doesn't happen. It's broken. This is creating a distortion in the field, and this distortion is being played back over and over again through a looping system. This playback mechanism is attached to an old quandary, if you will, an old subset of divisible and mathematical equations that are also laced into this deeper pattern of, I can't really I don't know what I'm seeing, so I'm going to go into this a little deeper. It's going into a deeper level of disarray from one perspective because of the mathematic equations not being able to be added on. So it's like you keep dividing something till it's fractionated, then we forget where this began. Like where did we start? We're at 0.000 whatever. What was the original bigger number, so to speak? You guys, music, mathematics. Anyways, so those equations are merely a sorting system, if you will. Therefore, they're being sorted through right now. And that which is creating this assortment of distractions is merely that. It is a sorting system that has created this new way to harness certain, I'm hearing algebraic equations, but I'm sure that's a play on words. Algebraic. I'll have to come back to that. And then the looping patterns get, I'm hearing they siphon our abilities. I'm hearing we're shortchanged. So they siphon our abilities to add up the values. It's almost like confusing us, so we can't tell what adds up with what. And so we're basing our mathematics then on a false value system, based on an entrapping system, based on an old system that, and I'm being guided to just get out of judgment on that. Like, it's not about like, oh, what trapping system? Who created it? How did this get started? What does that mean? What dimension is it from? Again, getting out of the mind and just getting back into, all right, now what? And that's one of the biggest messages that's coming through. It's like, yep, we're being divided. Yep, it's an old system. Yep, none of it's working. Okay, now what? Okay, yes, this doesn't have enough science background to prove that it's right. Oh, this doesn't have enough science. Okay, now what? Can we work together to add up our true value? And when I say that, that's a play on words. The more we come together, the more it adds up. And the more we come back into synchronization with the timing that we're creating in now time, the synchronization, might be synchronizing. I always, again, make up my own words. The synchronizing brings us into realizing, brings us into seeing what is real. It allows us then to create the spin that is required to outspin the backspin, to create us back into a spin that is more relevant for the higher equations and the quantifications, play on words, pontification, quantifying, quantum, to allow us then to communicate in a more advanced way. So rather than being talking heads, out of our heads, talking out of, I keep hearing Charlie Brown, wah, 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 because the communication that many are being fed, I'm hearing much of the mass communication is just that. It is talking a story. It is telling us a story based on what was possibly real, intertwined with what wasn't real. And we've just taken that on as a reality. So there's so many distortions because it's based on values. And I'm hearing it's based on devaluing humanity. So if we don't believe we're valuable, then we put our resources into outside sources that then create a false sense of security that then add our value. Well, I have this, therefore I'm more valuable. My house is stronger, bigger, better, faster. You know, all this is that. So that makes me a better human. Right? And then those people, those humans, again, no judgment here, that think they're better because of all their stuff are the ones that are telling everybody else, follow me. Look at all the stuff I have. Look at what I've done. I'm smarter than the average human. But in reality, the average human has the same abilities to do the same thing. And I'm hearing there's many that feel they have a lack of education right now. And so they feel disempowered, as if they cannot move into a different direction. Yet if they're connecting into their multidimensional communication, they have access to all of that quantum information that everybody else does. Okay, I'm going to finish in just a little bit of. And so as we increase our rate of conductivity, as we create and raise our own conductivity, we become the new conductors of this orchestration. We then see beyond what is being orchestrated into what is being orchestrated. And we are then able to, I'm seeing fracking, like we frack into it and then pull it apart so that we can get to the juice. This then allows us to increase our dimension, if you will. It increases the ability for us to access other dimensions and to see the dimension that we are in, to see the true dimensions that are within our field, to see that which has been, I'm hearing, did I mention? Like, again, back to the talking heads, it hasn't been mentioned before. It's been mixed in with the distractions. So again, human basics, getting back to the basics of human compassion. For it is only within the human to have this compassion. It is not within the technology that is outside of us that creates this ability to harmonize with this symphonic frequency. For we are harmonizing with the symphonic frequencies of the universe, including Mother Earth, including the other systems that we have created. I'm seeing future versions of ourselves. I'm seeing angels, ascended masters, source energy, whatever we want to label all these different energetic creators as. And we are then able to line ourselves up with what it is we truly want to magnify. We are able to line us up with, play on words. Okay, so I'm seeing line ourselves up with coming into this bigger alignment, because it's like, again, not one track mind, right? It's feeling into the entire buzz. I don't know if I talked about this in the beginning of this video or the end of the other one, talking about the hive mind. Bees, a community, vibration, a hum. Everybody seeing their part. Everybody, I'm seeing we're pulling it all apart so we can see what part we have played and what part we are playing and what part we want to play in this new liquidity. So I'm hearing liquefying all of our assets. Ooh, play on words. So instead of being this rigid community of I believe this and I believe that, you're right, I'm wrong, blah, 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 blah. And then as soon as somebody crumbles, we go, oh, welcome to this side. And somebody goes over here, oh, well, they don't know what they're talking about. Okay, it's liquefying the assets. We have to open this up and make it soft so that we can all see what's really there. And, oh, I have goosebumps. So also, this has to do with us as well. So the more fluid we can be and the more like be like seaweed, which is challenging you guys right now. I understand, I'm going through it too. But the more fluid we can be in this as often as possible, I'm hearing it increases our times tables. I'll have to go back and look what I wrote about times tables. Again, math. Wah, wah. I love math and the idea of it. But apparently I'm tapping into a quantum field where obviously trusting in my own source knowledge and connection to maybe the future version of me that's this amazing mathematician. Oh, my math teachers would laugh at that. Anyways, having said that, so what I'm seeing is, and I'm using quantum vocabulary. So there's that. All right, so this quantum vocabulary, that's what I'm playing, part of one of my roles here, right? And I play with that in order to increase how often and how many times the tables, so when I say increase the times tables, I'm seeing that as a huge play on words. It increases our ability to calculate and make calculated decisions based on a higher knowing. It increases our time, like it makes things more, we're in now time versus playing on somebody else's dime, is what I'm hearing. And when I say value system, I see coins And I see all of this value systems as old. It's old technology. So that's a whole other ball of wax, but that's just an example of what we paid for. Like what we've paid for to bring us to this place it's paved the road for where we're at now. So we're starting to address what we value, and do we value our other humans? It isn't about us. It's not about being, I'm hearing, a slave to the system, right? Because that system, it was what it was, right? Now we're in a different place. And whenever I see system, I see system, like our brain stems, like we're opening up to a higher system. And I'm being shown the picture. Somebody posted this on Instagram, and I think I shared it on my stories, of the heart, and then where we are in the Milky Way. I love that picture. And I had just been looking for it actually, and then they posted it, synchronicity. So if you look up the Milky Way and what it looks like a giant heart. And we're like in the center of this. The Milky Way is in this heart of the galaxy or the universe. It's just a really cool picture. And I think I posted, do you ever feel like you're part of something bigger? Like we're the cells that are within this, that are within the body of, so that's kind of how I see it. So when I keep being drawn back to go back to liquid assets. So when we come, so as I say liquefy, I'm seeing liquefy, PHI, the golden means. And again, this comes back to the golden rule. This comes back to treating others. So as above, so below, as within, so without. This isn't just like our mathematics are going to change, because our mathematics have to change. I'm not talking about the golden means. I'm not sure. I'm just saying in general about a lot of things. Like there's certain components that have been missing, put up on a shelf somewhere, because other components were put up on a shelf. Like, what do you call it? Yeah, podium. So they were put in the cupboard, closed the door on that shelf, and then they've said, oh no, look at this. This is what we're going to base everything off of. And now we're like, wait a minute, what about that over there? I remember. Okay, so the times tables and the tables are turning, okay? And yeah, so I could go back into that. I'm going to wrap this up. Oh, wrapped. What are you getting wrapped up in? Let's wrap this up. And as we ride this wave, as we feel this wave, as we feel the rise in the wave that we are creating as a collective, we recognize, I'm seeing a wave in a stadium, and it's like everybody coming together just because it's fun. You may not even be rooting for the same team, but everybody does the wave in the stadium because it feels good. So why don't we go there for a bit? Because we're all in that heart center, and some of the things that don't feel good are really going to be obvious. So as we mathematically go up the scale, as we upscale our harmonics, as we allow ourselves to scale up the walls, so to speak, that we have built around us, as we allow ourselves to take apart brick by brick, I'm seeing the reference to Pink Floyd, I'm seeing the reference to Dark Side of the Moon, that which we have built around our reality, we recognize the expansiveness that we are set within. We recognize that which we have, I'm hearing intercepted, interception, reception, and we break through the deception. For these different subsets of realities and complexes create this imbalance from one aspect in the scales. And those that are on track, if you will, those that have jumped off the old track, those that are stepping out of, I'm seeing they're going into like trace elements. I'm seeing different things here chemically, are able to then stabilize and realize and bring into reality that which we need in order to, I'm saying pick up speed. So again, this has to do with chemistry. This has to do with the speed of physics, our physical speed. It has to do with how quickly we move through this spot that we're in. It has to do with how quickly we vibrate, and has to do with, I'm hearing, impending gravity. So I'm hearing that what we're doing is impeding many of people that are stuck. They're impeding their own speed, and they're creating like this gravitational pull that essentially it's making it hard for them to get out of this supposedly, or so to speak, black hole. And I'm being reminded to say black is holding all of this information. So we're just not sure where we go with all of this. It's creating a lot of disinformation because it creates a spin that we get stuck within, that then spins back a reflection to us of what it is that we are stuck within. Spinning our wheels. And as we allow ourselves to unfold out of this, we create a pattern of harmonics that allows us to weave in a much bigger web. So as we access these different points of stability, we access different points of accessibility. We then, I'm seeing, reach out to each other and interconnect in this beautiful entanglement, disentangling from that which it was that we were into that which it is that we are now, a bigger part of, more, we have more access to. All right, so I'm going to end on that note, and just, I love to play with the words like that. Again, have a beautiful journey, whatever that looks like for you today. Again, a lot of stuff coming in to help us, a lot of stuff still being purged and processed. So supporting each other in the best way that we can, which is sometimes just by listening, sometimes by just us giving a hug, hugging ourselves, honoring where we are at in this journey, recognizing that we're part of something much bigger than we were taught. So in love and light, guys, namaste.